and Director of Executive Education at the Graduate School of Business Leadership, University of South Africa, UNISA. Let's give Professor SWART a big round of applause. A big round of applause, please. Can I help you up? You okay? Okay, there we go. We can do better. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as she comes through, and then I'm going to ask her to call on her panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Program Director. May I please just also acknowledge all of our protocol here, all of Your Excellencies, all of our various ministers of tourism, all of our leaders of industry, all of our diplomats, and all of our industry leaders. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It is really a privilege to also facilitate this specific session where we will look at various aspects related to the work that has been done by WITLAC. So please help me to welcome our Honourable Minister all the way from Sierra Leone, Mrs. Nabeela Farida, TUNIS. Thank you. Our next panelist is all the way from Zambia, and this is Ms. KAOMA-SIBANDA, and she is the Executive Director of the Zambian Institute for Tourism and Hospitality Studies. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see that all of these women know each other. It feels like a small reunion that we have here in Zimbabwe. Then our next panelist all the way from West Africa, and that is Liberia. And this is our president of the Liberia Tourism Association, and this is Ms. May Bright UREY. Then we move into Central Africa, all the way from the DRC. We have Ms. Cecile Debile, and she is from the Tam Tam organization. Ladies and gentlemen, and then last but not least is Ms. Lynn Wu, and she's a principal advisor to the United Nations Tourism Secretary General. I think you will agree that we are well presented from across the African continent, and it is really wonderful to have all of these ladies joining us on stage. Now, those of you who are not familiar with what WITLAC stands for Women in Tourism Leadership Africa Committee. And we had the privilege over the past year and a half and more to have the leadership of Minister Tunis all the way from Sierra Leone. And therefore, Minister, I'm going to start with you. Because as the chair, how do you see WITLAC's mission? And maybe also, can you elaborate on some of the future activities you envision for us to get engaged into?
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to applaud the members of the steering committee, some of which they're here on this platform right now. Panel, and a few of them are Wei Mulemwa and a few others, and we also had members who have left the space due to some changes within their country. But it's been a really dynamic platform which has been spurred on by the level of commitment that has been exhibited by those who you see here, all of us, and a few others behind the team. And I also want to thank extensively UN Tourism for providing the strong support to ensure that this platform doesn't only stay afloat, but it also quite impactful in the work that we do. As Professor Swart has said, WITLAC is a dynamic platform. It's a platform which came together to advance women's concerns within the tourism sector. And under the leadership of Sierra Leone as chair, we have seen an active calibration of the work that we do. We have not only delved very deeply into advancing our mentorship program, but we've also looked at how we can create this vertical and horizontal type of leadership across the continent. You may have seen as soon as we started this panel discussion, there's that camaraderie among all of us, and that has been reflected in the work that we do. Now, why do we do that? Because we all have the same level of passion to advance women's empowerment within the sector. But it's not just about talking about how we could go about it, but it's about us ensuring that we take tangible steps. In Sierra Leone, having been privileged to chair this very unique platform and dynamic platform, we have set up a WITLAC desk within the ministry. Because what is really important for us is continuity. We realize that a platform of this nature, which has been given the requisite support that is needed by UN Tourism, also needs to be institutionalized in a way that we can create that real impact. So Sierra Leone has created a WITLAC desk, which we have 3 persons who are manning that desk. But again, we are reaching out to other areas within the provinces, because after the regional congress, we set up a platform of about 500 women who were part and parcel of that congress, and that platform is growing and it's expanding. In my previous panel, I expressed my thanks and appreciation to Professor SWART for also conducting one of these sessions with the WITLAC membership. I'd also equally like to extend my thanks and appreciation to Dr. Kingsley, who came all the way from Channels TV in Lagos to also support these young women, brush up their skills in advocacy and giving that level of support and exposure to other women within the platform. So WITLAC, I see, is growing. I see us becoming much more constructive. I see us developing chapters within our various countries and our various sectors. And what is unique about it, it comprises not only of ministers, but also very strong, active members of the private sector. I feel that is a model which we need to adopt, because it is also based on the commitment, and it's also based on bringing the public and private sector together, which I feel is highly sustainable in situations like these. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can give the Minister a warm round of applause. And this is evidence of leadership and action. So we didn't only talk at Sierra Leone, but there's a lot of action and there's a lot of evidence on the progress that has been made over the past 18 months. So Minister, thank you so much for your leadership. I want to move over to Ms. UREY in Liberia, as you were one of the founding members of WITLAC. Now, from an industry perspective, what do you propose to be the mission, and what other activities do you think we can get engaged into?
Okay, good afternoon to everyone, and I think I'll go straight to the point because we are behind time. I think in a nutshell, WITLAC, it kind of creates a space for women that are leading in the tourism sector, from the government to the private sector, and to a certain extent, our international partners are part of WITLAC. And I think our mission as leaders in the sector is to shape it, to find ways in which we can improve other women so that they are not only just involved in the sector, but are actually participating meaningfully, and they're also trying to uplift their businesses and their lives, and also then improve tourism across the continent. Now, some of the ways, we heard a lot of people speaking about the fact that tourism, women make up a huge percentage of the workforce of tourism, but yet and still they're in low-level positions, they're in informal roles. And I think that it's also because of the barriers they face. And I was happy to see some of the listings, some of the questionnaires that Elsie put up there. And basically, I think everybody saw the access to finance. I think visibility is also important, and then access to market, because that's the only way they will grow. And we find it across the continent that people don't have the access to get their businesses. And we, in the private sector, we are there to make a profit. So if we are not having people access our businesses, we are not visible, it is a problem. So I think those are roles, and I think WITLAC has to be more practical, look for practical ways. They must meet women where they are and then try to lift them up. I think those are ways we need to look at. We talk access to market, access to also training. I voted training because I think it's very, very important that, you know, our women get trained, technical training, as well as training in businesses. And also, one that is quite obvious is we're trying to, you know, create strong linkages to funding for our women. I think basically that's what WITLAC, we need to start to concentrate on practical things and meeting the women where they are. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And I think we can also give her a round of applause, because what she has said also directly aligns to the 8 key areas that was pledged in Ghana during the first Congress. So this is really to start to apply and to implement all of these various areas. And then I want to move to the United Nations. Under the leadership of the United Nations, you have also embraced the Women in Leadership Africa Leadership Mentorship Program, which is supported by WITLAC. So from a UN perspective, what do you think is the mission of WITLAC? How can we refine that? And how can we extend some of these activities that we've already engaged into?
Thank you very much. From the UN perspective, like the chair and the co-chairs already expressed earlier, this initiative falls under the one of the SDG, as you may be familiar with, regarding women empowerment. And WITLAC was also initiated many years ago, before we had our first female SG coming on duty. So it was a priority before, and it will become actually an even stronger priority today with the new leadership that we do have at UN Tourism. Coming to the committee itself, I think it's actually a critical element in the way that UN Tourism can convert our vision into action. And so that's why I would like to officially thank the chair and the co-chairs for their commitment to this committee, because they are the persons who are going to make our vision and help us support you know, more leaders in Africa through the committee. They are the ones on the ground. They are the people who will help us also to better understand the specificities of what prevent women leadership in tourism in Africa. The UN Tourism serves more than 161 member states worldwide, but from what we've learned since the new Secretary General took office, every region has its own challenges when it comes to women empowerment, to women leadership, and it's very important for us to make sure that every support we provide to the committee is tailored to the specific obstacles that the women in Africa face. So it can be financial barriers, it can be education, it can be maybe sometimes cultural obstacles to leadership. So whatever it is very, very fundamental for us to have the committee in place, and once again, we are very grateful for the personal and you know, commitment of the whole chairs and vice chairs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Woon. I think also we can give them a round of applause, and also thank you so much to the leadership and for enabling us in Africa to capacitate women specifically in tourism. Marissa, I want to come back to you because we've heard that we need to have different chapters for WITLAC across the African continent. What kind of profile of new members would you like to see joining WITLAC? And if we look at young women who aspire to join WITLAC, what kind of message do you want to share with them to inspire them to become part of our movement?
Thank you very much. I think we started off speaking about the configuration of WITLAC, and also I mentioned briefly that we've had, a very large turnover because we all understand the dynamics with ministerial appointments. You may be moved to another ministry, and that creates, a shift in the direction of WITLAC. So as we're moving towards institutionalizing WITLAC, I believe that we need to have a very strong private sector component within, the steering committee itself. Aside from having these country-specific chapters, we need to have a very strong private sector composition within, so that if at all there are any changes, it would not impact on the overall structure as well as the direction of WITLAC itself, because I do believe that WITLAC is doing a fantastic job. I also feel that it is time, as we're moving towards institutionalizing the platform, I also feel it's time for us to take this up to the level of the African Union. I strongly believe that if we want to ensure continuity and credibility, which I believe WITLAC has already demonstrated, having come from 2019 in Ghana, then to Freetown in 2024, and now here in Zimbabwe, I feel we have enough ingredients to put this forward at a professional level, taking it up to the AU, because this is also aligned very closely with the AU Agenda 2063, looking also at the Sustainable Development Goals, partnerships, equal pay, gender equality, and so many more of the SDGs are linked to us having a functional WITLAC body. But for us to safeguard against these sudden changes that may come based on, the decisions that are made at a level that we cannot influence, I really feel that aside from us having, the strong private sector component with us, we also need to have it institutionalized at the AU level. Because again, I feel that as long as they see it from that perspective of us achieving the SDGs, they would understand that probably resources, member states can put a certain level of resources towards the performance and the operationalization of the platform, and our aim to bring as many young voices into the space, because again, it's so critical. Africa is brimming with young talent, and we need those young voices to come into this space so that they could lay the foundation for other people within the sector and determine, the growth that we so desire. So I really feel that this is what we should do. And my message to the young people, especially for us in Sierra Leone, we have a lot of young people who are in the creative space. My colleague minister mentioned fashion, arts and craft, designing, music, the entire ecosystem around music. It's not just the vocalist, but the instrumentalist, festivals, gastronomy, and so much more, heritage, your culture, getting into dancing, acrobats, or contortionists, so many professions are within the space. And this is something that is based on your God-given talent. So my message to young people is that look for what it is that you can do, make sure you do it well, and WITLAC is a platform which you can also explore, anchor what you're doing, and also explore how that can be scaled up considerably. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Honourable Minister. And please give her a warm round of applause. And really to institutionalize WITLAC is a bold step, because that also shows more commitment, and it will also assist in the professionalization of our industry. So thank you so much for that, Minister. So training and education is something that is very close to my heart, but also one of our other panelists. And this is Ms. Anne KAOMA-SIBANDA, who is the Executive Director at ZITHS, if I may use the acronym. So during the Sierra Leone Congress, you mentioned that it's important to have a seat at the table. And that was for me quite profound during the Congress. Now, having said that, what kind of activities do you think WITLAC can enact on to help to translate women education powerness as well as to counteract some of these gender inequality challenges that we have.
Thank you. Prof. Nellie, thank you so much. I am very excited to be here. I'd like to say thank you to the host, also to my Honorable Minister for allowing me to come. If he hadn't signed that authority, I wouldn't have been here, but I'm glad that he did. So to go directly to the question, I think that the key issue here really isn't education being a gap, but the conversion that is a gap, in that we're seeing a lot of women graduating and being trained. But where the gap is that it's not being translated into equitable employment, as well as leadership and entrepreneurship. So I have been on both sides of the table as a human resource management or human capital development in the industry. And now I am absorbing talent and producing that talent for industry. So I am better placed to see where these gaps are. Women are coming out of these training institutions and stopping into and not being able to get a job because there are no pathways that have been created for them. There isn't any, there are some, but we're not doing enough in terms of creating these pipelines for them in terms of leadership training and the like. But for me, what I see in that WITLAC is to really be intentional about bridging this gap that exists through creating systems that are designed not just for more training, but within its mandate. First and foremost, WITLAC can encourage member states to focus on issues like work-based learning. In Zambia, we are advancing a national apprenticeship program where we are focusing on work-based learning for our learners. Then they go into industry. Then they make sure that while they're in industry, they're actually learning the workplace experience is what they're getting. And so I think WITLAC can encourage member states to, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If something's working, we can really just piggyback on that, tailor-make it to our needs, ensure that we are tailor-making it or localizing it so that it works for us. But we could actually piggyback on what everybody else is doing. And especially in our region or in Africa, we could learn from each other. So that's something that WITLAC can do. But also, within its mandate, there's the aspect of convening. So stakeholders advocating for enabling systems. So we could bring in a government, industry, as well as the educators. Just 2 weeks ago, we did have the Education Summit in Zambia. We brought government together, we brought industry, we also brought educators. And one of the things that we did was we put them in a room like this one and asked them to speak about the gaps that exist in our industry. So this is something that WITLAC can do as well. And this is what's happening here. We saw the ministers sit in front here and commit to certain things. And this is also something that we did. We got 4 cabinet ministers, thanks to our minister, who made sure that that happened. So they did commit to even allocating budget to training and ensuring that that gap is bridged. And we are interfacing with industry, because what is very important is not to do things in isolation. We should be able to work with industry, see what is relevant, what are the skills that they actually need. One other thing that we did was we got industry practitioners like chefs and entrepreneurs themselves to come and actually speak to these educators and say, look, this is the talent that we're looking for. This is what we are looking for as you train. Make sure that the human skills are part of that. Make sure that entrepreneurship is part of that. Ensure that some of these skills that are missing in terms of being able to actually manage and man their own business is part of that training, so much that even if they don't get taken in the industry in terms of employment, they can actually craft something. One of the things that I'm excited about, and we recently did, was created a partnership with ABSA, Innovation Hub in Livingston. So our institution has been around for quite a while, but we were just really localized in Lusaka. So we did say we're going to now move out of Lusaka and make sure that we take the training to these tourist hubs. So then we moved into Livingston. So about a month ago, so we were launching this partnership with ABSA. Now, ABSA comes in from a perspective of innovation. They are now saying, look, yes, you are giving them the technical skill that they require, but we're coming in as industry leaders to be able to provide the industry aspect of it, to be able to provide the skills that they need. How do they market themselves? So it's very, very critical that we start to define what quality means, what women need to be doing, how many women are being led, how many women are being employed, or how many women are actually in leadership positions. So when ABSA now comes into play, they're helping us with developing that aspect for the women and the young people, so much that everything that we are doing together with industry becomes very relevant. There's quite a number of things. One other thing that I would like to mention is, I know that Honorable Minister from Ghana did lead by example, but we are also creating these opportunities for women for exposure. Because for me, leadership does begin with exposure. I did come with two ladies, young ladies. One of them is one of the members of staff. She is a lecturer, but the other one is very special and very, very close to my heart. She's my 13-year-old daughter. So she needs to see at a young age that, there are spaces like these, and she could aspire to become that particular lady. For me, mentorship then just becomes a whole magical wand that really changes the aspect in terms of capacitating women and making sure that they are confident and bold enough to step in those places ordinarily where we would not be able to step.
Thank you so much. Very inspirational. And I must say, I had the privilege of being in Zambia 2 weeks ago during the summit. And I think you can see the successes that has been shared. And again, please make use of these best practices. And you're welcome to go and also go and apply that in your own spaces. Ms. May, UREY, at some point you have said that private sector must hold the government's feet to the fire. And I think that it's a beautiful African proverb, if I can say that, because all of us can associate with this specific phrase. So how do you think can WITLAC become instrumental in holding the different actors to account to ensure that we really practice what we preach and we empower the women through leadership? So I would love to hear also your perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nellie. Yes, that's policy advocacy, it's really a passion of mine. And I think the private sector really needs to do a lot, to hold government's feet to fire. The promises, the policies, the strategies shouldn't just be, words on paper. Now, for WITLAC, I think we are in a very good position just by virtue of our composition. We have policymakers, from the government. We have private sector, and we have community leaders that are not only concentrated in their own countries, but across Africa on this committee. Now, one of the things we can do, for me, as I think as WITLAC, is to start to engage government. We come up with these strategies. We're excited about the policies. We're excited when we're about to launch these strategies, but implementation is where the problem is. And I think WITLAC can use its power to start now asking the hard questions, setting up follow-up policies so that we make sure that if government promises to, for example, put in infrastructure, if government promises a certain number of seats to women in tourism, as tourism ministers, or even as far as entrepreneurs are concerned, are they going to put certain amount of money into women in tourism? Are they following up on it? I think another thing, and someone else brought it up today, is that WITLAC can do is to look into data collection, because we go to these governments, we cannot just go to them and just say, oh, you did not do this. Where's the data collection to see that? And that is lacking in a lot of the countries where we have. How far have they gone? Where the number of women that have actually moved up from, as we say sometimes in Liberia, from mat down to mattresses. And then we also need to, I mean, not every time you engage government, it should be confrontational. I think we need to try to partner with government, set up these, private, public type of engagements with them to see, because I like the Sierra Leone slogan, tourism business, not Oman business. If we want tourism to grow, we must come together collectively with government, private sector, and with our international partners to make sure that we work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. May, and please give her a round of applause. And I can see Minister TUNIS is knocking her head, because this is exactly what was also said when we were in Sierra Leone. Mrs. Seal Sambodibele, as Director of TAMTAM, what lessons can WITLAC learn from the TAMTAM guide, specifically in terms of the use of digital tools? Because I think that you have mastered the art of digitizing your specific tourism product. And I think that this can also be a wonderful skill that we can use at WITLAC.
Okay. So thank you for the question. Thank you, Nellie. Thank you, everybody. I really want just to say hi to the French community in the room. So it's really nice to have French people coming together with the English part of Africa. So just that. What WITLAC can learn, it's to market differently the tourism. I saw something in Sierra Leone, and I think that's why the Minister of Sierra Leone is my new hero. It's a dream to have the rural area put on the light, We have to give those ladies the trophy they deserve. And it's very difficult to bring these people to office. It's difficult to teach them that tourism is everywhere, and it's in the rural area. So the digitalization is a very great tool for those ladies in this rural area. They even use their kids to put on TikTok, WhatsApp, what they're doing, and you can be in far in DRC, and you will see what they're doing in eastern of DRC, just because they're using all those applications, TikTok, they're using trend. You have to use trend. TamTam put a trend, like take the best picture of your place that you like in the forest, in the sea, in the mountain. And it's amazing to see what people are doing just to show off that we are tourism. We are part of the tourism. So yes, we should implement more of the digitalization of the rural space.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And what I love about it is you say that we are tourism. So it is really taking tourism to the people and ensuring that they can engage. And I'm sure that tomorrow you will also share more of your experiences during your follow-up session. Ms. Lynn, I want to come back to the United Nations, and specifically as an advisor to the UN Secretary General, who are advocating for the social sustainability of tourism. How do you see WITLAC's role in helping to promote tourism as an inclusive sector? And maybe also elaborate a little bit more to say, how can we support the empowerment of women by being an inclusive sector?
Thank you for that question. Sustainability is actually one of the core priorities for our new SG. So sustainability is actually a theme that you will see crossing over everything we do. She has made it very clear during all the bilateral meetings that she's been having with the counterparts, with member states, that this is really at the core of UN tourism, and inclusiveness even more. There are certain regions of the world where we are currently working on topics such as accessible tourism. Earlier on, you know, the Minister of Tourism in charge of a Republican, Dominican Republic, I was thinking in French, sorry, République Dominicaine, was there, and they are, for instance, very much into inclusivity and social sustainability. So when it comes to that topic and to that matter, this is really what you will witness from UN tourism in the next next coming years, and the way that we intend to make it reality, because at the end of the day, I think this is what people are interested in, right? How does it change their daily lives? How do we have a real impact through the policies that we advocate for with our member states? And it starts, as you can see, most of the times with data. Coming back to data collection, we start with facts. And that's why committees like WITLAC are essential. WITLAC is represented and chaired by the leaders of the region, by the leaders of each African country that will be part of that committee, which means that the exchange of data and the exchange of information, of intelligence between WITLAC and UN Tourism is the starting point for us to be able to design and to advocate for the right policies for more sustainability and inclusiveness in tourism.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And if I may add, I think we are in a race against time, because all of these Sustainable Development Goals are set to be achieved by 2030. And I think that there's quite some work to be done, and to see that we can also support through our initiatives is really encouraging. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please just give Ms. Lynn also a round of applause, because without the United Nations, we won't be able to reach all of these various sustainable goals that we have set for ourselves. I want to conclude, and I want to give about a minute to each of our panelists. And I'm going to start with the UN tourism, because I want us to end with a highlight. And to be involved in a movement, I want to call it a movement like WITLAC, it takes also some personal sacrifices. And if we don't have the passion for driving WITLAC, it will not become a success. And we sometimes need to also confront the facts. And therefore, I'm going to ask each of our panelists, what can you personally contribute towards the success of running WITLAC as a sustainable movement for Africa?
Shall we start from? Thank you. Well, I guess, sorority, and to remember that as women leaders, we all went through hard times and good times, but I think generosity and sorority are key to make WITLAC a successful venture with UN Tourism.
Wonderful, thank you so much, Ms. Lynn. And then if I can move to Mrs. Seal.
I think more than anything in Africa, we need role models. As I said, we've been all in Europe, and it's very difficult to find actually African role models. And we need to have those people up there, like ministers, chefs. We need to have people in the industry to show a good image of tourism. Young boys, young girls, they can be like, I want to have the best hotel in Zimbabwe. I want to have the best hotel in Ivory Coast. That's the kind of mentality we have aimed for and to change, because tourism is not just a job. It's a passion, it's your culture, it's who you are. I'm from DRC, I'm proud to be from DRC. I can bring something to Liberia. We are the same continent, but we are different. And tourism show who we are. And we need to have role models. We have to have people who can speak to the youth and inspire them and show them the way.
Wonderful. And I'm sure that she's also already a role model in the DRC. Then I want to move back to West Africa, Ms. May.
Yeah, she is a movement, not only in DRC, she cuts across. But I would like to bring my experience, my practical experience from being, working within the Tourism Association, which brings strategies that we've created, and then also being a tourism entrepreneur. What I've seen, you know, from the young women, what I've noticed about a lot of the women I work with, they have that high zeal, they have the talent, they have the know-how, the knowledge, but they are lacking that, you know, structure, a kind of support system. So it's back to Cecile's point of the mentorship. And at this point, I would just like to, you know, thank all of us, because Nellie and myself, our chef is not here with us today. I mean, who served on the education and training committee of WITLAC and came up with the mentorship program that is supposed to be the strategy on the mentorship program that's going to be launched today. Because we agree that, as Cecile said, these young girls need mentorship, and mentorship coming from us who have actually the experience, we have the gray hair to prove that we've gone through it, we've been beaten and everything else. So I think education and mentorship would be what I say, but whatever it takes, you know, to move these ladies from where they are, low-paying jobs, informal, to move them up in the leadership role. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. May. And it's also about giving back. And I think this is also a privilege to share the little bit that you know and to empower someone else. Ms. Anne?
Thank you, Prof. Nellie. I don't have the gray hair to show, but one thing I know is that I am absolutely willing to mentor those that are willing to be mentored. That's one. But then one of the things that I've noticed, especially with the advent of social media, is that there are a lot of influencers that are influencing our kids and the younger generation. So one of the conversations I had with somebody was, you know, I'm not naming names, but I'm like, why are the kids following that influencer? But the reason is because those that have the right mindset, the right skills, but also the right moral compass, are not standing up to present themselves and give their time to mentor these young ladies. So they are following those that are speaking the loudest, those that are making themselves available, especially on social media. So this is something that I said to myself, if it's going to be a battle of one, I am standing up and I'm going to speak and make sure that the younger generation are listening to the correct voice, the right voice that's leading them toward the light and not toward the darkness. So for me, sharing information, what is working for us among the member states, but across Africa, but then more importantly, to handhold somebody and tell them that you see it is possible. Sometimes you have to do it scared, but you can still do it and get to the finish line and live your utmost capacity. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And she's already an influencer on social media. Minister, last but not least, you have already sacrificed and given so much of yourself for WITLAC. But if we can be selfish, is there anything else that you feel that you personally want to contribute more to WITLAC?
Thank you very much, Prof. I believe my time. I have done that already, and I'm willing to, dedicate some more time because I see the potential. It's like some people would say it's like a drug in their system, and you're being driven towards that direction because you see so much talent in the young people, and you feel that there is this yearning for you to do something about it. So I'm willing to give my time for the mentorship. We have to give the kids, our young people, the exposure that probably some of us didn't have back then. They need to be courageous, they need to be bold, and we can only do that by holding their hands and teaching them the ropes. So certainly through this mentorship program that we're going to launch in a couple of months, I believe, very soon, I believe that it's a unique platform for us to advance, the ideals of WITLAC. And we're talking about data. I feel if we put a lot of attention to what we're doing, we will get the numbers. When we started, a kind of, I would call it an ad hoc mentorship program in 2025, we've trained over 1,000 women. And we've utilized several platforms. In person, we go into the rural communities, we pick out people and we do training of trainers. We tell them, mentor these kids and make sure that they emulate what you're doing, and we follow that. We've also ensured that we utilize, we had, like I mentioned earlier, we had a communications training, because that's one thing that is lacking in women. They don't have the confidence, they don't have the courage to go out and speak out about these things that are positive, that have a positive multiplier effect on other people. So I'm willing to give my time to ensure that we have these specific influencers within the society, especially within the rural area, because I am telling you, we have so much talent. There is so much to offer within the rural area. So I'm ready to give my time, not only to Sierra Leone, but across the continent, to people in the rural areas, to give them that support and mentorship that is required. Thank you.
Wonderful. Please give Minister another round of applause. And especially for a minister to be able to sacrifice time, because the time that she gives is actually sacrificing the family, because it's family times that she's willing to give for our industry. Maybe just to quickly summarize, so what our panelists have said, what they are willing to contribute is their generosity. They will become role models. They will share their experiences. They will become influencers, and they will sacrifice their time. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an absolute honor to facilitate the session this afternoon. Please give a warm round of applause to our panelists for their time. And please don't get excited yet. I think you can do better. Can I give a warm round of applause? Thank you so much. Because these women are really inspirational. Now that we've had this discussion, we want to ask you to grab your phone and again scan this QR code. If you scan the QR code and you are unable to access the question, you can just go to menti.com and there's a code, and then you can pin in that code and you will have access to the question. So the question that you have is, how can the United Nations Tourism Mentorship Program, supported by WITLAC, support women's leadership? And you must please rank the following options: contacts and networking, coaching opportunities, skills development, and new perspectives and information on funding and work opportunities. So there are 5 options. So please rank for us the one that you think is the most important to the one that you think is the least important. And immediately we can see that there's a great need for funding. So it's resource allocation. And skills development, it is also aligned with some of the 8 key priorities. Also contacts and networking. Thank you so much to all of you that have voted so far. So I see that there are 46 active participants, and we have 22 votes in. So please, all of you are encouraged to participate in the survey. So for us, it will also be valuable for us to reflect and to go forward as we refine the WITLAC program, as well as the mentorship initiatives. We know that these are the priority areas. So I can see that funding remains popular. Funding remains number one. So we have 51 participants, so let's just allow all of them to finalize their voting. And in the interest of time, while the rest of our participants are finalizing their voting, may I also please just again extend a warm thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you for traveling from across the African continent, as well as from Europe, to be here in Zimbabwe, to share your wealth of knowledge. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your passion. And thank you for allowing us to be part of this wonderful movement. Thank you also to our host, the government of Zimbabwe. Thank you to all of our audience for attending this session. Hopefully tomorrow we will be more interactive, where you can ask questions, but also don't stay away. Interact with us, engage with us. We are here to learn from you. Thank you so much. And please join us for a photo. Thank you.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A big, big round of applause. All right, sorry, ladies, just hold on. I know it's women. Can you just stand in there? All right, let's do this. Yeah. Sorry.
You're happy
You got it? Absolutely. All right, let's give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause. Thank you so much. You can do better. Come on now, come on. If the person next to you is not, you guys, come on, put your hands together. Exactly. There we go. It just takes a little bit more effort, and we celebrate each other, even in execution like this. Thank you so much. We've got another group downstairs in Kalundu that was going through another session. So the room has been divided. That's why we're running 2 sessions concurrently, so that people can be in sessions that they can sponge on and get the most out of. So we're really, really grateful. Day 1 is done. Yes? We started with the official opening early at the very hot golf course. And then finished later on around lunch, and then we came through here. We do apologize that we started late. I'm sure with your indulgence you'll understand why, but here we are. We've managed to go through every session that was lined up for today. So let's give a big round of applause to the UN tourism team working so hard to make sure that this Congress is a success. In terms of next steps, our next steps from here, dinner was supposed to be at 6, but it's 20 minutes to 6. So what we're going to do is, obviously, we need to freshen up for dinner. Let's, by the powers invested in me by the MCs Act of 1982, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to then propose and suggest that we push dinner to 7 p.m., so people can go freshen up, get ready for dinner. Let's have a 6. Is anybody taking notes? I'm just making structural changes here. And Minister of Tourism, are you here, guys? Okay, Kojo is here. All right. So let's have buses picking us up from here and wherever we're staying at 6:30, because I'm told about 30 minutes to go to the place called Ekaya, where we're going to have dinner. Okay, 6:30, which is in 50 minutes from now. Oh, come on, ladies. 50 minutes is a long time, huh? To go to your room, freshen up, yada, yada. 50 minutes is a long, long time. Okay, so let's be outside the hotel at 6:15 so we can get onto the buses and go to dinner. Just put our head down, dance a little, drink some more, have fun, because all serious talk never got nobody nowhere. All right? And then Kojo, tomorrow, can I announce now? Tomorrow, what time are we starting? Tomorrow's, sorry? 8:30. You got an accent, my guy. 8:30. Like what? Okay, 8:30 a.m. we are in Kalala, which is this room. Yes? 8:30 we start, which means by 8:20, let us all be seated. Let's come in our numbers. Let's make this a successful Congress. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy Mufura.